Dick Nelson. Welcome to Nelson Fine Art. There are a huge number of details when you're framing a picture that go into the process. First one is don't cut yourself. I certainly wouldn't liken it to being a doctor, but I guess the first issue for a doctor is, above all things, do no harm or something like that. We don't have a Hippocratic oath for framing, but when we frame something, we have to think about this picture lasting. We assume that this picture is going to last 1,000 years. So we don't want to do anything that's going to cause that picture to deteriorate because of our framing. You know, the framing has always been the core of this whole business. Yeah, we've got a lot of artwork, but the artwork is only here because the framing is able to support it. So I guess one of the messages I'd sure like to make is that our clients and customers and friends that use our framing are also supporting the arts, because we're able to use the revenue from framing to make the art gallery available to people for free. But I kept hearing from artists, you know, how we needed a venue. So over the years, it just kind of became important to do this. I had a customer in yesterday who said, well, I didn't think you still framed since you have the art gallery. And I pointed out to her that revenue-wise, the framing is probably 80%. The art gallery is a necessity. So we do things like use spacers on glass to keep artwork from touching glass, because in a pretty short period of time, artwork that's touching glass will stick to it, and then sometimes the image will get transferred onto the glass and it's ruined. There's something that we like to jokingly refer to, and that is being a frame geek. And I have just shown you an example of frame geek. I had, nobody's going to appreciate this except Blair and me. I've just been able to put a piece on there without having to cut any off of it. It had perfect usage. Yes! How cool is that? We've mounted this print to an archival mat board using archival tapes. We use a lot of this. Cat doesn't like it. All the materials that we use are archival. That means they are acid neutral, because acid eats the artwork. Cutting glass is probably the most fascinating part of the whole process. Glass is unforgiving yet predictable. And I'll put Blair on the spot because I'm going to say that it's easy to cut. You don't have to cut all the way through glass. All you have to do is scratch it in a line and tap it, and it breaks. It fascinates people a lot of times because we use the same piece of equipment to cut glass and same piece to cut mat board and foam board. Historically, mat boards were made to keep artwork off the glass, separate the artwork from the glass. And over time, that's become a decorative feature. And of course, it touches the artwork, so it has to be archival. Unless you're a cheap framer. Yeah, is it turning like white? Yeah. That's what happens with direct light on the typical non-glare glass. It turns white. But what the museum glass does is it darkens the reflection without changing the color. We're always having to clean this because fingerprint smudges. People walk up and say, is that glass? People want things to look professional and be professionally done, and you can't do it with cheap tools. From the front, you can't see any nails. All you see is a perfect corner. If anybody knows the significance of this, I will frame a picture for you. And they stick the dismount. A piece of artwork, like a painting or a print, is all fine and dandy, unframed, but really nobody sees it unless it's framed. The frame doesn't make a piece of artwork, it sure can ruin one. I jokingly say that we don't just guarantee satisfaction, we guarantee happiness, which is a little lame, but that's the way it is.